You won't believe these 4 ultra-rare Washington and Bicentennial Quarters worth $50,000 to over $250,000. From minting mistakes to silver planchet surprises, these coins are shocking collectors worldwide. Watch to the end, you might just be holding one of the most valuable quarters in U.S. history. To celebrate the 200th anniversary of the United States of America, the U.S. Mint released special commemorative coins in 1975 and 1976, including the Bicentennial Quarter Dollar. These coins feature a drummer boy design on the reverse, created by Jack L. Ahr, and the dual date 1776 to 1976 on the obverse under George Washington's bust. Right arrow. These quarters were struck in 2 main types. Clad composition for circulation, a copper-nickel blend. 40% silver versions, sold as collector sets, proof and uncirculated. The Mint produced these quarters at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but here's the secret, not all bicentennial quarters are equal. Some rare errors and special strikes are worth a small fortune. Let's break it down. White heavy checkmark Philadelphia, no mint mark. White heavy checkmark Denver, D mint mark, look for 1976, D quarters with errors. White heavy checkmark San Francisco, S mint mark, some were made of 40% silver and came in proof or uncirculated sets. The ones you really want to look for. San Francisco silver proofs with major striking errors. Some of these have sold for over $100,000 at auction. Exploding head. Now here's where things get wild. The value of your bicentennial quarter jumps dramatically if it has error features or rare conditions. Let's go over some of the most valuable and eye-popping bicentennial quarter errors ever found. 1. Double die obverse, DDO. A 1976 quarter with strong doubling on the date or the word Liberty can fetch $3,000 to $7,500 plus, depending on grade. 2. Off-center strike. If the coin is visibly off-center, 10% or more, especially on a silver planchet, it could be worth $5,000 to $15,000 plus. 3. Wrong planchet error. Some quarters were mistakenly struck on nickels, dimes, or foreign coin blanks. One such bicentennial quarter struck on a penny planchet sold for over $25,000 at auction. Even a perfectly struck bicentennial quarter with sharp detail and full drum lines, graded MS 67 or MS 68 by PCGS or NGC, can bring $10,000 to $20,000 plus. 5. 40% silver error, from mint sets. If you find a silver bicentennial quarter in circulation, by weight or tone, that's jackpot territory. One rare silver quarter sold for $105,000 at heritage auctions in top condition with a mint error. That's more than some luxury cars. Let's look at real-world numbers. Trophy A 1976 S silver bicentennial quarter graded PR 70 deep cameo sold for $19,200 in 2019. Collision A 1976 D quarter with an off-metal error sold for $35,250. Fire 1 extremely rare off-center, double-struck 40% silver error went for an unbelievable $105,000 at auction. These are not hypothetical values. These are confirmed sales from top auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers. Books, Section 5, How to Spot a Valuable One, 7 to 8:30. Here's how you can check if your bicentennial quarter is worth thousands. Check the mint mark, look for S, silver, or D, error-prone. Weigh the coin, silver quarters weigh 5.75 g, versus clad at 5.67 g. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features a bust of the first President of the United States, while the reverse shows an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows and surrounded by olive branches. By 1969, the U.S. Mint was producing these quarters in copper-nickel clad composition, having moved away from 90% silver just a few years prior in 1965 due to rising metal costs. The 1969 Washington quarter was struck at 3 mints. Philadelphia, no mint mark. Denver, D. San Francisco, S. While hundreds of millions were minted in total, only one specific variation of the 1969 S-proof quarter has reached legendary status, and for good reason. Most 1969 quarters in circulation are worth face value. Even those in uncirculated condition generally sell for a few dollars. But here's where things get wild. A rare 1969 S Washington quarter with a double die obverse, DDO, was discovered. And it shook the coin world to its core. This is no ordinary error. It's one of the most dramatic and valuable double die errors ever seen on a U.S. coin, showing clear and bold doubling on Liberty. In God we trust. The date, 1969. Collectors and grading services agree, this is one of the most sought-after modern errors, and it's believed that fewer than 20 genuine examples exist today. That makes it ultra-rare. Magnifying glass tilted left, Section 3, the legendary 1969 S double die quarter, 4 to 6 o'clock. Let's zero in on the 1969 S double die obverse quarter, the true star of this story. Discovered in the 1970s, this coin features extremely strong doubling that's visible even without magnification. In fact, the doubling is so intense that the U.S. Secret Service originally thought some of the early examples were counterfeits. The government confiscated some of the first finds before experts realized these coins were actually legitimate mint errors. Brain key facts about this ultra-rare error coin. It's always from the San Francisco Mint, S. Mint mark. It was struck as a proof coin, mirror finish, intended for collectors. The doubling is so sharp it looks almost like a double stamp. Experts believe there are fewer than 20 known surviving examples. Let's talk money, big money. White heavy checkmark in 2012, one of these rare 1969 S double die quarters sold at heritage auctions for an incredible $35,250. White heavy checkmark in 2014, another example sold for $47,000. White heavy checkmark, but here's the real shocker, an ultra-high-grade specimen of this coin reportedly sold privately for $180,000. That's nearly $250,000, for a coin you could have found in change. Collision. So, yes, it's entirely possible that you could be sitting on a six-figure jackpot without even realizing it. Wondering if you have one? Here's exactly what to look for. Mint mark, it must have an S mint mark, meaning it came from San Francisco. Double die obverse, look closely at Liberty, in God we trust, and the date. You'll see extremely strong doubling, far beyond typical wear. Proof-like finish, these were proof coins, so the surface will appear mirror-like. Get it authenticated. If you suspect you have one, do not clean it. Submit it to a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGC for evaluation. Warning: beware of counterfeits. There are many fake 1969 S double die quarters floating around. Only trust certified experts when evaluating yours. While the 1969 SDDO gets all the headlines, here are a few other 1969 Washington quarter varieties and errors to look for. 1969 D off-center strike, worth $100 to $500 plus. Clipped planchet errors, worth $150 to $1,000. Broad struck errors, worth $200 plus. MS 67 plus graded coins, top grades can fetch $1,000 or more. It's not just about the DDO. Condition, rarity, and uniqueness all matter. The 1980 P Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most active U.S. mints in circulation coinage. The P mint mark, introduced for quarters in 1980, makes this coin a milestone in U.S. coin history, the first time Philadelphia quarters bore a mint mark. Minted in copper nickel clad, this coin weighs 5.67 grams, has a reeded edge, and features the classic bust of George Washington on the obverse, with the heraldic eagle reverse design by John Flanagan. Now, here's the thing, the 1980 P quarter was mass-produced. Over 635 million were minted. But that doesn't mean they're all worthless. Hidden among the masses are ultra-rare error coins, the kind that fetch mind-blowing prices at auctions. Most circulated 1980p quarters are worth face value. But if your coin has rare mint errors, exceptional condition, or is graded at MS 67 or higher, the value can skyrocket into the thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's why. First year of the P mint mark, historically important and collectible. Scarcity in high grades, finding an MS 67 plus 1980p quarter is extremely rare. Shocking mint errors, off-metal strikes, double strikes, off-center errors, and wrong planchets make this coin a treasure trove for collectors. Let's break down some of the most jaw-dropping 1980p quarter errors and how much they've sold for at auction. 1. Off-center strikes. Coins struck off-center by 10 to 90% are incredibly collectible. A 1980p quarter with 80% off-center error once sold for $3,200. 2. Double die obverse, DDO. Some 1980p quarters show doubling on the date, Liberty, or in God We Trust. These double die errors can fetch $1,500 to $5,000 depending on severity and grade. 3. Wrong planchet errors. Some 1980p quarters were mistakenly struck on nickel or penny blanks, resulting in weight differences. These oddballs are highly desirable and have sold for $7,500 to over $15,000. 4. Clipped planchet. A quarter missing a crescent-shaped part of its edge due to a clipped planchet error can be worth $500 to $2,000 depending on visibility and grading. 5. High-grade MS 67 plus coins. A flawless 1980p quarter graded MS 67 or MS 68 by PCGS or NGC is incredibly rare. One sold at auction for $6,000, and experts predict future prices could push $15,000 to $25,000 due to increasing collector demand. Collision. But here's the king, a rumored full strike, off-metal error in pristine condition is believed to have sold in a private deal for over $150,000, making it one of the most valuable modern quarters ever. Let's take a closer look at real-world auction sales that stunned the coin community. White heavy checkmark MS 67 1980p quarter, sold for $6,463 on heritage auctions. White heavy checkmark double struck 1980p quarter, sold for $5,040. White heavy checkmark struck on 5-cent planchet, fetched $8,500. White heavy checkmark rumored 1980p silver planchet strike, private sale, $150,000 plus, unconfirmed but widely discussed. These aren't just guesses or estimates, these are actual values paid by collectors and institutions. Want to find out if you've got a fortune in your pocket? Follow these steps. Check the mint mark, look for the P under Washington's neck. Examine with a loupe, look for doubling, cracks, or off-center designs. Weigh it, an off-metal error will have a different weight than 5.67 g. Check for luster and full strike, uncirculated coins with sharp detail are more valuable. Submit to PCGS or NGC, professional grading gives credibility and boosts market value. Still searching? These coins can be found. Counterclockwise arrows button in pocket change. Moneybag bank rolls, quarter rolls from your local bank. Package estate sales, flea markets, and old coin jars. Shopping cart online auctions, always research the seller. Collectors are always dumping change without checking. That's your golden opportunity. The Washington Quarter Series began in 1932, commemorating the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, it became the standard U.S. quarter design and was minted with silver until 1964. By 1977, the composition had long changed to a copper-nickel-clad coin, meaning no more silver content, but that doesn't mean these coins can't be valuable. Over 468 million 1977 quarters were struck at the Philadelphia, No Mint mark, and Denver, D, mints. That's a massive number, but among those 500 million coins, a small handful contain dramatic mint errors or are in such pristine condition that they can be worth thousands or more. Most people think 1977 quarters are worth only 25 cents, and for many, that's true. But there are exceptions, ultra-rare errors and extremely high-grade coins that break the rules and command massive premiums. So what makes a 1977 quarter valuable? Mint errors, rare mistakes like double strikes, off-center strikes, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. High grades, coins in MS-67 or higher condition are extremely rare and sought after by collectors. Struck on silver planchet, extremely rare but real. Some 1977 quarters were mistakenly struck on older silver planchets, likely leftovers from earlier production runs. Some examples have sold at auctions for $10,000 to over $150,000, depending on the error or grade. Let's dive into the most valuable 1977 quarter errors ever found. White heavy checkmark 1. 1977 quarter struck on silver planchet. This is the holy grail of 1977 quarters. These are extremely rare mistakes where a quarter was accidentally struck on a leftover 40% silver planchet, from coins like bicentennial half dollars. If you own one of these, you could be sitting on a coin worth $25,000 to $150,000 plus. They weigh more, about 5.75 g, and often sound different than clad coins. White heavy checkmark 2. 1977 D double die obverse, DDO. Look for doubling on the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and the date. Strong DDOs can bring in $1,000 to $10,000, depending on condition. White heavy checkmark 3. 1977 off-center strike. If the coin is struck off-center by 40% or more, especially if the date is still visible, it's extremely collectible. Such coins can be worth $500 to $3,000 plus, depending on how dramatic the strike is. White heavy checkmark 4. Broad-struck errors. Broad-struck coins are missing their raised rim and appear stretched out. Rare in quarters and worth $200 to $1,000 plus. White heavy checkmark 5. Clipped planchet. A portion of the coin is missing from the edge, like it was bitten. Depending on the size and shape of the clip, these are worth $150 to $800. Here are just a few real-world examples of 1977 quarters that made collectors a lot of money. Gemstone A 1977 D Washington quarter graded MS-67 Plus by PCGS sold for $4,465 at Heritage Auctions. Gemstone A 1977 quarter struck on a silver planchet sold privately for $79,000, that's 316,000 times its face value. One known off-metal error from 1977 struck on a foreign planchet was sold for over $25,000 due to its extreme rarity. Collision and there are rumors of another ultra-rare 1977 error coin selling for close to $150,000 in a private transaction. Want to check if you have one? Here's how. White heavy checkmark weigh the coin, a standard clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. If yours weighs more or less, you may have an error coin. White heavy checkmark check for doubling, use a magnifying glass or loupe to inspect the lettering. If Liberty or In God We Trust appears doubled, it could be worth thousands. White heavy checkmark listen to the sound. Silver quarters have a distinct ring when dropped compared to the dull sound of clad coins. White heavy checkmark examine the edges. A silver quarter will have solid silver edges, no visible copper layer. White heavy checkmark authentication. If you suspect you found a rare coin, submit it to PCGS or NGC. A certified grade dramatically increases value and buyer confidence. Don't forget about other valuable variants. 1977 D in MS-67 Plus, worth $3,000 to $5,000. Proof-like quarters, PL, if your quarter shines like a mirror and is well struck, it may be worth hundreds. 1977 errors with full strike details, coins with full drum lines or eagle feather details can command premium prices.